Protests about power, how we get it, where it comes from. Why is everyone so angry about energy? Renewables, like wind. It's intermittent, there's no pollution, but who would actually want one of these right on their doorstep? So those are the choices. What do we want? So how to decide what's right? Gary Smith is the Conservation Director of the Yorkshire Dales National Park. His top priority is climate change, so he likes wind power, but just doesn't want it here. So why do you keep objecting to wind farms?
Well, I think the answer to that question really is what we can see all around us here.
You wouldn't like a lovely big 200 turbine farm over here, but generating a lot of power.
Yeah, I mean, I think as a society, you know, we need energy. That's a given.
But not here.
But not right in this particular location. I think.
Does that make you a NIMBY?
Possibly.
How conflicted do you feel personally as someone who says that they're really interested in tackling climate change, but as the man who not only doesn't allow wind turbines in the park, but also stops many others around the edge of the park?
You know, climate change is happening. We think it certainly seems like it. Scientists tell us it is, and we're seeing some signs of how that's changing the park. But it's a slow and gradual process, and
that doesn't merit, in your view, plastering this place in wind turbines.
We would say it doesn't merit plastering this place in wind turbines right now.
Even though we're both a bit chilly, because it's a very stiff, cold breeze coming off the hills, isn't there?
If you were a wind farm developer, you'd think this was a cracking place to put something potentially.
So if not wind turbines, then what about something more traditional? The stuff that fueled the Industrial Revolution? Coal lies in a great mountain down the road at Drax in South Yorkshire. This is Britain's largest power station, and because coal is polluting, it's another target for protest. Coal is a dirty word for environmental campaigners. Phil Garner represents the British coal industry. It's a great day for wind, isn't it? Because there's a nice breeze, the turbines are spinning beautifully. Yes. Why do you think wind isn't the answer and that coal, belching away behind us, actually is?
Wind's not the answer in itself. It's got a part to play, but it's a minor contributor in comparison with a station like Drax. This wind farm, over its last 12 months, generated less than 1% of what Drax is capable of doing.
And you think that's a reason for not only keeping our coal stations, but actually building more of them?
Building more super efficient ones with the ability to reduce their carbon emissions in comparison with Drax by having more efficient boilers and more efficient turbines gives you the opportunity then to retrofit carbon capture and storage later.
But that's down the track. I mean, you'd accept that coal right now is the most polluting form of energy, isn't it?
Yes.
And you can't argue with that.
No.
And do you also accept then that carbon emissions do have a role in climate change, or could do?
And I think the answer to that is I don't know. I am not totally convinced.
You don't accept the science on that?
I'm not sure that the science is entirely proven, but equally, I'm not sure that we can afford to ignore it.
As it goes now, that power station is chucking out a lot of carbon dioxide.
It is chucking out a load of carbon dioxide at the moment, but equally it's also producing a lot of affordable electricity.
So if we don't want coal because it's too polluting, or wind because we think the turbines are an eyesore, how about nuclear? To explore the nuclear option, I've come to Harwell in Oxfordshire, the birthplace of British nuclear power. God, this is the old reactor hall.
Yeah,
God, it's amazing, isn't it? I'm with Mark Linus. He's an environmentalist who now sees nuclear energy as essential.
Civil nuclear power is the bright new thing that was meant to generate all our energy. So this was, I think this was commissioned in 1956.
Yeah. It's just freezing in here, isn't it?
Absolutely bone-chillingly cold.
And now we're right on top of the reactor. Or it was the reactor. So what was it exactly that, as it were, flipped you into being a green, pro-nuclear convert? I mean, you've been talking about how you've been reading into the science of climate change, for example.
Because if you want to deal with climate change and you want to keep global temperatures from rising to catastrophic levels, we have to generate very large amounts of zero carbon power.
What about wind?
And
what about solar?
Well, wind and solar are going to be a major part of the solution, and I would like to see them upscaled by 10, 100, 1,000 times. But even if you do that, if you take nuclear out of the mix, you can't run the world.
Would you be happy to have a nuclear power station on your own doorstep? Because one of the key problems with energy at the moment is that nobody seems to want any particular type right where they're living.
No, the only acceptable form of energy for people is magic. People are NIMBYistic, if that's a word, about everything these days, aren't they? You know, it could be high-speed rail, it could be wind turbines. People are against everything. If I had to have a power-generating source near me, I'd rather it was nuclear than coal or gas. Let's put it that way.
This is one of the government's great hopes: homegrown gas, produced by fracturing shale rock deep underground. But this has faced objections too. I was in Downing Street as an anti-fracking petition was delivered to the Prime Minister. A dairy farmer, Andrew Pemberton, is worried that drilling could pollute the milk from his herd. Catherine McWhirter led protests in Sussex, but they don't agree on the alternatives.
We in Balcombe have said that we would welcome wind turbines. You know, I think they're quite attractive. I've nothing against wind turbines.
So you'd be happy with wind?
I'm happy with wind. I'm happy with solar.
I'm not a great fan of wind farms. I think
What about a big nuclear power station?
no one wants nuclear as such.
Okay, how about a coal-fired power station? One of those great monster ones like Drax?
No one wants anything as ugly as that.
Back in the Yorkshire Dales, it strikes me that we're going to need some very big energy projects very soon, and they've just got to go somewhere. Whichever type of power you choose, it's going to make someone angry.